forum, you also had mentioned you voting against or voting with Republicans when it comes to ICE. Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you have a response towards that?
Yeah, I think the context is really, really important. This was 2 years ago under the Biden administration. This applied to individuals that had come here illegally, committed a crime, had been deported, and I am someone that believes that we can recognize that we need safe and secure borders, but it's also not a mutually exclusive issue, that we also need an easier pathway to citizenship and fundamental immigration reform. And with what is happening right now, particularly with ICE, I'm someone that is fundamentally against it. I mean, what we are seeing is un-American. It is inhumane. We're seeing individuals pulled out of their homes separated. I mean, as I said, this is a personal issue to me. My wife is an immigrant. She is an Afro-Latina woman that is a native Spanish speaker. My mother-in-law is here, does not speak a word of Spanish. I cannot believe that families like mine are terrified, and that I'm having to tell my wife, keep your passport on you. It is fundamentally wrong, and if I was in the United States Senate, I would not vote for any DHS funding without serious reform size.
Were you able to listen to Senator's answer?
I did.
So what is your response to his vote that's coming?
You know, I have been crystal clear, and anybody can go on my policies. I believe that we need to get the dark money out of politics in every single way. This is a super PAC that has decided to support me. I would like to see all dark money groups get out of politics. And I've been clear. Every single one of my policies states that. And with super PACs, we are not allowed to engage in terms of directly super PAC to the campaign.
What do you make of his attempts to try to link you to Chuck Schumer via votes?
Honestly, I think it's disappointing that he's trying to take this in such a negative right. Anybody that heard myself and then heard Senator Walz, you'll see a very distinct energy there. I am someone that is talking about the need for hope and positivity and optimism, and the need to focus on the issues, not on going after him.
Stephen?
So you had the chance to speak kind of in front of this audience tonight. What, you talk about some of the issues we've heard you talk about the campaign, like some of the long-term care and the stuff people with disabilities. What do you think you took away from some of the questions tonight about people's priorities?
I think the questions actually match very similar to what we're out there hearing. It doesn't matter urban or rural, is that two things. One, Iowans are hurting, they're struggling, the middle class is being eroded. People are struggling just to keep a roof above their head, food on the table, pay their electric bill. People are hurting and struggling, and they feel like their representatives like Ashley Hinton, like all of our Iowa delegation, are just looking out for the billionaires and the large corporation. And then the second aspect is people are tired of the naked corruption that we're seeing right now in this country, and it needs to be addressed. And from ideas like banning members of Congress from buying and selling stocks, to term limits, to ending Citizens United and having transparency in the system. People are tired of what we're seeing with the naked corruption, and they need individuals like myself, working class people, that are going to go out there and actually fight for Iowans. Because right now what we've got, due to the lack of campaign finance reform, is we have a situation where the current administration and our Iowa delegation is just looking out for the large corporations and the billionaires. And we've got to take the country back. I mean, you can have oligarchy, you can have democracy, but you cannot have both. And we're having outsized influences of billionaires and large corporations that are buying off our politicians and buying off our elections.
Some of the policies you're talking about, banning stock trading, overturning Citizens United, you both support those things.
That's right.
You mentioned in the forum electability. Is that the main difference that you think you bring to this between you and your opponent?
I think there's a few things, but certainly I think the one that resonates the most is electability. I know that I can win. Zach hopes he can win. I know I can win. I am the only one in this that's even run against Republican. He comes from a Harris plus 37 district, never even run against Republican. This is not the moment to try an experiment. I am battle tested. I am out there in Western Iowa. I have overperformed by double digits in both of my elections. I have overperformed Trump by 50% more than any other Democrat in the state. I know definitively there is something specific about my story, background, and resume in politics that resonates with moderate Republicans, with the kingmakers in this process, which is the independents. And I know that there's something specific about my story and background and resume that really resonates with rural folks and with farmers. And that's what it's going to take to be able to win. There's a genuineness and an authenticity to my story as well. Coming from a working class family, a working class community, everything that I've gone through, representing my country, winning gold medals, winning my election by dragging my wheelchair upstairs, that really resonates with these folks. And I'm out there talking about the issues that apply to the 3.2 million Iowans, and that is resonating with them. The need for a livable wage, affordable housing, affordable health care, drinkable water, doing something about the corruption. I know that that message works.
How successful do you think you would be able to get the message out to Iowans without the support of super PACs like VoteVets and the ads that they've been running, introducing you to Iowans and getting your message out there?
I think we've been doing a really good job. I think over the last 6 months we've been to over 70 counties, we've done over 250 events. We are certainly winning rooms, and people are excited about that. And what gives me the most amount of hope in this is we're not just getting turnouts from Democrats. We're getting turnouts from independents and from Republicans, particularly in the rural communities, where because of bad state and federal policy, these rural communities have been hollowed out. Healthcare clinics closing all over the state because of the big beautiful bill. 110,000 Iowans losing their healthcare because of the ACA subsidies. 119,000 Iowans seeing their healthcare premiums double or triple because of what we've done on vouchers. We've closed over 16 schools, the majority in the rural communities. We're hearing farmers and in these rural communities over and over and over, and the word we hear the most is betrayal. And they're saying the Trump signs, the Trump flags, they're coming down. And they're saying we need change. And we're getting lots of card-carrying Republicans turn out and saying, I'm excited about a candidate like you. I've not voted Democrat, I voted for Trump, I voted for Grassley, I voted for Ernst, but I'm going to vote for you this time. It gives me a lot of hope.
You mentioned that even as a member of the minority party that you had gotten legislation across the finish line to the governor's desk. Can you describe a little bit more specifically what some of those bills have been that you've worked on?
Absolutely. I think that there are two very different skill sets. There's a skill set to be a good campaigner. I hope I'm a good campaigner. I hope that I'm giving people some hope and inspiration. But there's also a very different skill set of ultimately being a good legislator. And when I joined the Iowa legislature, I was told, you'll never get a subcommittee, you'll never get a committee, you'll certainly never get anything signed by the governor. And I said, no, I absolutely refuse. We can teach a monkey to push the red button over and over. So I have been able to work across the aisle in a bipartisan fashion to provide bipartisan solutions to people's problems, because I know that at its essence is what people want. Can you actually legislate? Can you get pieces of legislation across the aisle? So from bills like $1 million of state appropriations to make our state lands and our state parks more accessible. Right to repair, to make wheelchair repair easier for individuals. Work without worry, to remove income and asset limits for individuals that are on Medicaid. Because of the work that I did on a catheter bill, we've got 20 million catheters that are made annually that no longer contain a cancerous carcinogen that was causing a bladder cancer epidemic. And even, removing unnecessary regulation and bureaucracy. Because of the work that I did on a bill that I wrote, we no longer need boat dock owners all across the state of Iowa are allowed to have a protection for their boats. I've been able to get a lot of legislation across the aisle because I have not just been overtly tribalistic. I've gone up there and I've worked really, really hard across the aisle because that's what I think that people want. That's what they deserve. They deserve to have representatives that are going to go up there and fight for bipartisan legislation. That's what I've done in the Iowa legislature. That's exactly what I intend to do in the U.S. Senate in Washington. And Washington is not going to change me. I know who I am. I know where I've come from. You're not going to change. When you come through the kind of adversity that I've gone through in my life, both on the economic side and on the healthcare side, it breaks a lot of people. But the ones that come through that have a real strength and a mental strength and a character that can't be broken. The Iowa legislature didn't change me. I'm going up to DC because we need more individuals in DC from places like Council Bluffs that are actually going to be champions of the middle class and of the workers and of the people that can't afford a lobbyist.
Yes, over the weekend and then yesterday, we were all concerned, waiting about what was going to happen with Iran, with the war. President Trump had telegraphed that he was willing to commit war crimes, bombing civilian infrastructure. He put on a pause, but if he has committed or will commit war crimes, will our Iowa congressional delegation and actually Henson have been complicit?
Yes, absolutely, because they've said nothing to stop it. When Ashley Hinton was asked about the conflict in Iran, she said that I trust our commander-in-chief to always do the right thing. This is the problem. She has just been a blind loyalist to Trump and his policies. This is another unnecessary war that we are seeing, these never-ending wars, spending $1 billion abroad for what? We're looking at energy cost and gas prices that are going up, and we're already leading the nation in farm foreclosures. I am someone that personally understands this. My father spent 22 months in Vietnam. Because of his exposure to Agent Orange is the reason why I was born with my disability. I am an example of the generational consequences of these conflicts, and I am fundamentally against it.
I think part of when Senator Walz brought up Schumer and alleged connections with your campaign is that a lot of Democratic primary voters are feeling frustrated with a perceived lack of action on things like the war or on healthcare, which you talked about. Do you think Senate Democrats are meeting the moment in Washington, D.C. right now?
I think we need change in the U.S. Senate and in D.C. and in the party as a whole. I mean, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I'm 20 years younger than the average U.S. senator. We've got 73 millionaires in the U.S. Senate. I will not be one of them. We need more individuals that are going up there to fight for the people, and we need legitimate change. And as a party, I think that we can't just be a lesser version of the Republicans. We can't just be a corporate version of a Democrat. And to me, the path forward is what Senator Tom Harkin used to talk about. It's prairie populism. It's economic populism. It is once again being the party of the middle class, of the workers, that are fighting for policies to actually make sure that the American dream continues. And that is a livable wage, affordable housing, affordable health care, pharmaceuticals, drinkable water, protecting our rural communities, our small family farms. This is what we need. We need genuine populism. That's our way forward in the U.S. Senate. That's what I'm going to fight for.
Please forgive me if someone's already asked this question. You said that you wouldn't support funding for DHS without ICE reforms.
That's correct.
What reforms specifically would you want to see? Because obviously that's an issue that's currently being.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need stricter enforcement standards. We need to make sure that we've got protections in place for sensitive areas like schools and hospitals. We need to make sure that these agents are not masked, that they're identifying themselves. We need to make sure that they've got body cams in place and that they're actually abiding by the law and making sure that civil rights protections are in place. I would not support any DHS funding without these reforms, because what we're seeing right now is inhumane and unjust and un-American. And families like mine, I'm married to an immigrant, an Afro-Latina immigrant, are scared, and it is fundamentally wrong, and I would not support it.
Anybody else?